Parents who let their kids date. This is something that I see happen a lot nowadays, right? You have a lot of parents to where they allow their kids to date. They allow their kids to get in relationships at 14, 15, 16, 17. You have a lot of parents to where they allow their daughters to date from a young age. You got a lot of parents who allow their sons to date from a young age. You got some dads to where they allow their son to have a girlfriend at 13, 14, 15. You got some moms who allow their daughters to get with guys at 14, 15, 16. So this has become very common nowadays, especially in the U.S. And we're just going to get into it. Listen, y'all, you have to understand is that as a parent, you are responsible for helping to guide your kids along the right path. Many of us know that scripture in the Bible. You train up a child in the ways of the Lord, and they shall not depart from their faith. As a parent, your main job is to train up a child. It is to train them to walk in Christ's ways. It is to train them to walk in the commandments of the Most High God, to follow Jesus Christ. Your job as a parent is to teach your son, teach your daughter to go after God over the world. That's the main job of a parent, right? But the thing is, many of these parents, they're off the world. And see, y'all, when you're off the world, you develop a very dangerous mindset, and it's almost like you're giving your kids over to the enemy. A lot of you parents who allow your kids to date, a lot of y'all are just giving your kids over to the enemy. You're just basically telling Satan, hey, go have fun with them. Now, let me ask some of you parents something, right? What could possess you, or what could make you think that it's okay to have your son and daughter dating at such a young age? Especially for you parents who got daughters. You're really okay with your daughter dating at 14, 15, 16. You're allowing her to get with all these guys. You're allowing her to date all these men. All these guys are at high school. Some of you guys allow your young daughters to date these guys in college. And you're okay with it. And yet, some of you parents, you wonder why you're going to have to answer to God in Judgment Day about some of these things. As a parent, your job is to remain firm. I don't care how mad your kids get. I don't care how angry your teenage son, your teenage daughter gets, right? They're in your house and they gotta follow your rules. If they don't like it, then they just have to put up with it. Or go find somewhere else when they turn 18 and go move in somewhere else. As a parent, I see too many parents do this. They give up the ways of God for their kids. You got some parents to where their whole identity is in their kids. Nobody could criticize a son or a daughter without the parent getting upset, even if the son or daughter is wrong. You got some parents to where they will defend their kids all the way to the end. You got some parents to where they worship their kids. You can't tell them nothing. If their kids want to do something, they're going to allow it. Because that's my son. Because my daughter. And some of them are going to allow it. And some of you parents, you got to understand is that when you do this type of stuff, you allow your kids to just date. You allow your kids to just do whatever they want. You're not really a parent no more. You're more like their friend. Because a real parent, they discipline their kids. And I'm not talking about you beating them and you abuse them, right? I'm talking about you standing firm and say, no, son, this is wrong. No, daughter, this is wrong. And some of you parents, it's like some of you guys just allow your kids to get into all this stuff. You allow your kids to date at such a young age. You allow your kids to do whatever they want. And then some of you guys get surprised when things end up happening. When some of you guys get surprised when your daughter gets pregnant at 15. Some of you guys become surprised when your son has a baby. He got a girl his high school pregnant and he's only 16. Some of y'all be so shocked by this. But my thing is, some of you parents, some of you guys are too slack. Some of y'all just allow your kids to be given over to the enemy. Some of y'all know your daughters. You ever dating all these different guys. Your daughter 14, 15, and she already been with like 5 or 10 guys in high school. And yet you okay with that. You know what you're doing? When you allow that type of stuff, you are training your daughter to be basically a girl, a woman who's going to be running the streets, basically. She's going to be hopping from relationship to relationship to relationship. She's not going to end up seeing no value in marriage a lot of times. Because she's already been with numerous guys. Changing men is like nothing to her. It's almost like changing her, it's like almost like changing her car tires every few months. It's just sad. And it's like her changing her air freshener when it runs out. When you use your air freshener after like a week or two, it's no longer good. You get a new one. You're training your daughter to be in that way. Same thing with some of you men. Some of you dads be encouraging your sons to have all these girlfriends and all this, but you're not encouraging them to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. You're not even encouraging your son to have a relationship with Jesus Christ, the Most High God who wakes him up every day. You okay with him having all these girls? Your son got like 2 or 3 girlfriends at school. Then some of you get shocked when he ends up becoming a father at 16 or 15. Listen, y'all, for people who became parents in their teenage years, and they got pregnant young and all that, that a lot of times it could slow your future down. Because sometimes the kids can't go to college, especially a lot of the girls. They got sometimes drop out, take care of a baby. The guy might end up paying child support, especially when he's 18. So it's something for y'all, the consequences that can happen. Your son, your daughter can end up getting STDs and all this. And not only that, but the biggest thing is you cause your teenagers to sin against the Most High God. You have to understand is that teenagers, we've all been teenagers. Even as a person in my 20s, I could tell you that even up to your 20s or even early 30s, your sexual hormones are high. So you and your son or daughter, they're beginning puberty. Their body's not going from a kid into an adult. They got all these high hormones in their body, and yet you allow them to date. Knowing that it could easily lead to something else. It could easily lead to them all of a sudden becoming very sexually attracted to one another, and they end up sleeping together. Listen, y'all, I was in high school. I know many teenagers who slept with each other. Many kids who perform sexual acts. You do not want to condone that stuff as a parent. Because basically, like, you allowing your kids to become loose. You allow them to become slack. And you allow your son and daughter to fornicate. Get into all these sexual relationships at such a young age. And the sad part is some of you parents, you allow your kids to just be in sin and you gotta see no problem with it. You allow your daughter to have all these boyfriends. You allow your son to have all these girlfriends. Your daughter's probably sleeping with some of her boyfriends that you have nothing to say. Some of you men probably know your son's sleeping with some of these girlfriends he got. And yet you ain't got nothing to say. And yet you think, and yet some of you parents condone it. I remember one time there was a little girl, because I got a little sibling, right? I believe one of my siblings, she heard a little girl say, her mom said she could start dating at 14. When she turns 14, her mom said she could start dating. And then the girl got mad because me and my mom, we raised my little sister to be in the principles of God. And we know she's not going to be having no boyfriend at 14. And the girl got mad and said, hey, what's wrong with that? Like, how can you be mad at that? That's just principle. As a teenager, your focus should be on school, where you want to go in the future, the type of career you want to be in, what your life goals are, what type of business you might want to open if you're a future entrepreneur. And your mind should be focused on God. Teenagers not even finished with school yet. They're not even finished with high school and they're already in relationships. They're already focused on relationships. I've seen too many news stories of fights break out in school. Girls getting heartbroken at 14 because the guy left her. Guys getting their heart broken at 15 because their girlfriend was not loyal to them. You guys are teenagers. Ain't 99.9% of your love, guys. It's just emotional. It's not spiritual. Yes, I know there's a few instances of people, meet in high school and they later become married couples as adults, but that is very few. That is a small percentage. 99.9% of relationships in high school are just emotional. The guy would say he loves you, the girl would say they love you, but it's all just emotions because they probably like how you look. They probably like how you do things, right? They might just be doing it because their sexual hormones are so high. And then guess what? As soon as that feeling's over, they just bounce a lot of times. They bounce and it was just all emotional. It was not a spiritual connection from God. It was not something God put together. You guys are little kids, man. That stuff is just child's play. People be talking about love forever and we'll forever be together and you guys are 14. What? Guys, please stop. So if you parents, stop allowing your kids to be in sin, because your kids, when they hit 14, 15, or 16, a lot of people don't want to talk about this, but once you know right from wrong, especially for all you kids who grew up in Christian households, and nowadays the gospel is easily so wide and everywhere. It's like, it's almost impossible to not have heard Jesus Christ at least one time in your life. If you're a teenager and you die in sin at 16, 17, you died in fornication, sleep with all those girls, all those guys at your school, where do you think you're going? You're at the age of accountability. You're old enough to be judged by God. Some of y'all need to slow down. Slow down, focus on school, focus on your future, focus on Most High God, and focus on your studies. And stop trying to hop with all these relationships. You got kids nowadays, they taking their own selves out just because that girl broke up with them. Like, what? You're 16, you got your whole life ahead of you. You that tied on that person. Listen, y'all. The few rejections I got when I was a kid, God, he allowed some girls to reject me when I was a teenager, and guess what? I got through it till this day. I forgot about them. I moved on. I'm happy living my life because that stuff happened when you're a kid. But some of you kids be crashing out thinking these people are supposed to be your end-all, be-all. Crashing out, getting depressed, taking your own lives, taking your own selves out, all behind that girl or guy. And guess what? When high school is over, you're not even going to remember him no more. In 6 months, you're not even going to remember him no more. That's just temporary pain you went through. But some of y'all, it's pain that you should never even went through in the first place. If you follow the commandments of the Most High God, follow God, trust in God, stay in your studies, stay in your books. And when you become an adult, when God sends that person, you court them for marriage, you see what they're about, and you take it from there into a marriage. You don't go into fornication or adultery, but as a teenager, you should not be in no relationships. Some of you parents are too reckless, and some of you parents will give an account to God on Judgment Day. Because you allowed your kids to be in sin. You're supposed to try to steer your kids in the right ways of God, not steer them into sin. If you allow your kid or your daughter, if you allow your son to be in sin, you allow them to be in a relationship, and they in fornication, they doing all these acts with one another, kissing one another, and tongue kissing and all that, you will God give an account for that if you say nothing about it, if you have no issue about it. It's one thing if your kids are doing it behind your back or you don't know, because I've seen many parents to where they were strict and their kids went out and did things behind their parents' back. As a parent, you can't be behind your kids 24/7. I understand that. But if you know your kids is doing that and your son or your daughter come to you talk about being in a relationship, you are at fault if you allow that to happen. You are just as at fault. That is a big issue that you got to deal with. Some of you parents going to have to give an account to God on Judgment Day. Allow your kids to be too loose. Allow your son and daughter to do whatever they want. And yet you said nothing about it. Instead of training your kids to be in the ways of God, you train them to be in relationships. Imagine that. Girl said her mama said when she's 14, she could date. But how about when she's 14, why can't she join a church choir? Why not at 14 she can't go out and minister to people the gospel? Why at 14 she can't start a blog proclaiming the love of Jesus Christ that can reach millions of people online? Why at 14 that girl can't go out and help reach some of her classmates for Jesus Christ? Oh, but the mom allowing her to be in relationships first. You see what I'm saying? Love the world. People put this world before God. Sad. And all you parents will be judged by Most High God. Because you allow your kids to do all this stuff and you have no problem with it. And so all of y'all condone it. Nevertheless, guys, if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe, share it, and have a blessed day.